are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Pregame Show as we get ready for the Tiger Bowl this Saturday or tomorrow as this comes out. For the currently Auburn is on a winning streak in Baton Rouge, but I am here joined today by Mr. Harrison Tarr. Tarr, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing well, Dylan. Glad to be back on the show. I know we got a doubleheader as we record this one tonight, and we got a lot of content coming down the stretch before the Tiger Bowl. Nobody really cares that I'm here today, though. We are joined by a new friend of the program, Mr. Peter Rauterkus. Welcome, sports editor of the Reville at LSU. So another student journalist. Peter, how you doing, my man?
Doing great. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do, where you're from, and what you're studying at LSU, and then we'll jump into some ball. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I'm Peter Rauterkus, like you said. I'm sports editor at the student paper here at LSU, the Reville. Actually from Birmingham, Alabama, so a lot of familiarity with Auburn and just Auburn, Alabama, the SEC in general. It's kind of been my whole life. Was born in Baton Rouge, but then kind of grew up in Birmingham. Senior right here at LSU. Studying journalism, mass communications. And yeah, looking to get into sports media. It's my senior year, obviously. So we'll see what the future holds in terms of that. But right now, here at the Reville, I'm having a really good time.
That's right. Any other outlets that are listening, if you're looking for a guy, we know a guy who's a more than qualified beat writer. Well, Peter, we're going to get into breaking down Auburn, LSU, and the Tiger Bowl. And correct me if I'm wrong, fellas, this is the last annual installment, right? This one we know for sure. Georgia's Auburn's kind of still in the up air depending on the conference realignment. But this one we know for sure. Last annual installment, which I'm personally a little sad about, just because these games, regardless of how good or bad either team is, for whatever reason, this is one of the most entertaining games on the schedule every single year. And it goes back to Auburn winning off of only field goals, and then Gus Malzahn slamming on the brakes, and LSU coming all the way back before the curse could have been broken, before I could legally vote. Instead, I had to wait until I could legally drink beer. To see Auburn finally break that curse in Baton Rouge. But it's just full of wonkiness. Even last year, just a year back, Auburn deciding no thanks on scoring second half points, and BK and the Tigers getting the job done. This is a fun matchup, and I don't really think this year is going to be any different. I really don't. I know that there's a lot of upside to LSU and still a lot of hope, like we were speaking about before we hit record, Peter. In Baton Rouge, that LSU can still kind of right the ship, and especially with that big win over Missouri, find themselves in the conversation to go back to Atlanta again this year, which is not off the table. Let's look at it from a perspective of Auburn, LSU. What does LSU bring to the table? That we'll start on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, there's a couple names that you're going to throw out that everybody's going to know who we're talking about, but things for people to look for against this Auburn defense that has been a bit of a pleasant surprise to Auburn fans this year.
Yeah, obviously for LSU on offense, it all starts with Jayden Daniels. Just taking a massive step from last year to this year. Was a good quarterback last year, but had some lulls, and the Auburn game was one of them. He had one of his worst games of the season against Auburn, only threw for 80-something yards in that game. Now, fast forward a year to this year, and he's right there in the conversation as one of the best, if not the best, performing quarterback in the country right now. That's the LSU offense has kind of been a byproduct of that. Looking at the success, it's the best offense in terms of total yards per game in the SEC, both running and passing the ball. Logan Diggs, the running back transfer from Notre Dame, has really emerged. Jayden Daniels has also been a big threat in the running game, ran for 130 yards against Missouri last week. So it all starts with him. You've also got two really talented wide receivers. You've got Malik Neighbors, who will probably be a first-round pick in the upcoming draft, and then Brian Thomas Jr. has really come on this season. Just big red zone threat, leads the country in receiving touchdowns right now with 9. So they've got, kind of that core is where it all starts. And the offensive line, it's been another, real key to that success. You've got a really talented group right there. You've got two true sophomores at tackles who both started as freshmen last year, Will Campbell and Emory Jones, who are both really talented. And then you've kind of got a lot of experience on the interior of that offensive line. The biggest question right now for this week, Charles Turner, the starting center, suffered a little bit of an injury in the last game. Brian Kelly ruled him as probable for this upcoming week, so it looks like he'll play, but will he be 100%? We'll have to see. Garrett Dellinger, Miles Frazier, on that interior as well. So just all around a group that, has a lot of experience, returned pretty much everybody from last year, and has been dominant to start the season.
Now, football game of matchups. I'm going to kind of build off of what you just said right there. LSU prolific offense, and when we get to the Auburn side of the ball, the Auburn side of the offensive game, it's going to be a completely different tale. So just buckle up because prolific's not in the dictionary. But for LSU specific, and a lot of it relies upon, like you said, Jayden Daniels, his health. But he looked banged up last week, and that dude is a warrior, by the way. Side note, but game of matchups here. You talked about that receiving core for LSU. Now, this week's a test because the Auburn DB room is not a joke. What does LSU have to do to establish the run game before they can kind of open up on the perimeter and utilize those weapons in the receiving room? Because Auburn has, in large, done a great job on the back end of their defense. You've got, I mean, we could start listing names. I probably won't. I'll probably just leave it at DJ James, Nehemiah Pritchett, and Kyan Lee. But the list goes on. I mean, I didn't even list the leader in interceptions in the SEC, Jalen Simpson.
The country.
In the country. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Dylan. I wanted to make sure I was correct on that. But thank you. The nation's leader in interceptions. What does LSU have to do to make sure that you can get those guys cheating up a little bit and get in that position to really air the ball out?
Yeah, like you said, just really establishing the run game. That's something that we saw last week against Missouri. LSU really made a point to establish the run game early on. I think a part of that too was to kind of shorten the game because they knew, that defense wasn't going to be able to get a lot of stops. And so, last week we saw Logan Diggs get 24 carries. Jayden Daniels had 15 carries. And LSU's got other running backs, but the running game is really going to be concentrated with Diggs and Jayden Daniels. And I think, getting the RPOs going, getting the read option going with those two is going to be huge in terms of making Auburn put extra guys in the box. And that's, what we saw against Missouri, and where, we really saw the explosive passing game take off when I think it was early in the second half. We saw the big deep shot from Jayden Daniels to Brian Thomas after, just kind of a whole half of LSU kind of leaning on them, because that, I talked earlier about the LSU offensive line. Run blocking is where they've been kind of the most impressive in the way they've just been able to bully teams a little bit up front, allowing for Logan Diggs, who's also just a really hard runner. I mean, just the way he runs, he's not the fastest guy in the world in terms of top end speed. He's not a guy who's going to break off, like a 60, 70-yard touchdown run, but he'll get you 4 yards every time. If you need a yard at the goal line, he's going to get it. He's that type of back. He's got great vision. So, yeah, I mean, that's just going to be one of the biggest keys in this game against this Auburn defense, establishing the run. And I really look at Logan Diggs and Jayden Daniels to do that.
I'm going to ask one more question about the LSU offense, Dylan. And I'm going to let you talk about the LSU defense and the Auburn offense, which is going to be, I keep saying this phrase all the time, but that's one of the matchups of all time. Not the greatest, but one of the matchups of all time. All right, Peter, if you put yourself in the shoes of an LSU fan, and they're going into a must-win game against Auburn, specifically at home. What about that Auburn defense concerns you the most in terms of LSU being able to dictate pace of play and kind of just operate their offense the way they want to operate it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you mentioned, I look at the back end. I look at a defense that, you've got the leader in the country in interceptions, a team that can force you to make mistakes. And that's what LSU needs to avoid, because giving extra possessions, allows for LSU's defense to be on the field more, which LSU really doesn't want. They got to take advantage of those opportunities where they're not staying on the field, because when the LSU offense is on the field, they're going to score. I mean, they've scored against everybody, and I think that's not going to be too different this week. But I think, Auburn, I mean, for them, the key, I think, could be opportunistic to try to make LSU make mistakes and create extra possessions. So I think, and I think establishing the run is going to be a big part of that. And the good thing for LSU is Jayden Daniels, one of his best attributes is his decision-making. He's not a guy who, I mean, he only threw 3 interceptions a year ago. He's got 2 interceptions on the season so far. He's not a guy that's going to make a lot of just bad decisions throwing the ball. So I think, just protecting the ball is going to be key, because I think that's where I worry the most about this Auburn defense.
Yeah, and don't forget that Hugh Freeze said in the press conference earlier this week that he said, we're not stopping LSU. We need to hold them to field goals. It's pretty much what he said. So it's like, you're not going to stop them. We might as well need to hold them to only getting 3 per drive instead of 7.
Yeah.
That leaves a bigger question. Can Auburn keep up offensively with LSU's offense?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point though that you mentioned about, holding on to field goals in the red zone, because looking at LSU's losses. I mean, against Florida State, that was kind of the biggest early issue. I mean, obviously, you look at the box score and you see LSU up 45 points, but LSU very easily could have been up 31-14 at halftime. But first possession of the game, Florida State gets a goal line stand. And LSU is, gets 0 points off of that. Then they get stopped on 4th and 2 in the red zone again later in the first half. So that's 14 points potentially that you leave that gets left off the board. And I think that's where, going back to forcing turnover, just being opportunistic, that's another case where Auburn just really has to, I think, is going to try to, hunker down and, like, Hugh Freeze was talking about, not letting 3 points turn into 7 points.
I'm going to expand on that super quickly here, Dylan. Peter, in your opinion, is this one of those games where you've got to see aggressive Brian Kelly in terms of decision-making in the red zone? You get inside your own 10-yard line, and is this one of those games you just take the points, or is this one of those games where you try to hand the ball off, or I guess not hand the ball off, but try to make a play and go for it on 4th down if you're in reasonable distance? Because we've seen BK do it in the past. Then again, this is the SEC, so there's an element of take the points. I've got a great example I can pinpoint back to Auburn's last game against Georgia. Don't want to talk about it. But is this one of those take your points, or is this one of those get aggressive and try to put them bury Auburn before they can have any of that weird Auburn Tiger magic?
Yeah, I mean, I think you do need to be aggressive. I think for a couple different reasons. One, just because of, how much its LSU defense has struggled. I mean, you need to be getting 7s instead of 3s because, more times than not, the offense LSU's facing is going to get 7s. And then also, just when you're playing against a team who's trying to pull off an upset, you can't give them hope, because, once they get that stop, or once they hold you to a field goal, and once they kind of take advantage of that and get some points, that's where it can start to spiral, and you can start to see, just the underdog. I don't know if I want to say underdog mentality, but you just see the fire start to build when you play against a team that's ready to come out and beat you. So yeah, I think it is. You are going to have to be aggressive, and I think that's kind of been the theme for LSU throughout the season. It's going to continue to be the theme for LSU throughout the season, just because of what the defense is right now.
Dylan, that's really funny. Peter said that the offense that LSU is facing is going to score 7s. I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah,
you're a kind guy. You're a good dude.
I love your optimism. I wish we had some of that over here, because Auburn offense is currently averaging 150 passing yards a game and heavily relying on running the ball a lot, which is actually the inverse of what this LSU defense is good at. What the LSU defense does. The LSU defense is only holding teams to 163 yards per game on the ground and allowing 282 passing yards per game. But even Brian Kelly himself has even came out and said that they're going to be looking at Peyton Thorne's production running the ball. And I was looking at one of your tweets saying that he also said that if he had Neighbors and Brian Thomas, he'd be throwing the ball a lot too. The problem with that is Auburn has a very talented wide receiver core. The issue is the arms throwing them the ball. And even though this LSU pass defense is god-awful, I still just don't know how well this Auburn offense is going to pass the ball with literally anybody at quarterback.
I'm gonna kind of pose that into a question, since that may have been a little bit of Dylan projecting his inherent fear for this weekend. May or may not be. This is an opportunity for LSU's defense to prove that they can do blank, opening the field to you, Peter.
Yeah, I think just, be stable, get stops. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing you're looking for. The biggest issue with the LSU defense right now is the back end is the biggest issue, but the single biggest thing I think LSU is trying to fix, their most fixable issue is tackling. LSU, I think against Ole Miss, I forget the exact number I think it was Brian Kelly said they missed 34 tackles for 284 yards in that game. It doesn't matter who you have throwing the ball. It doesn't matter who you have on the outside. If you miss 34 tackles, it's not going to go well for you. That's on pass play. That's on runs. And that's, even in the running game, if LSU is missing tackles and 5-yard runs are turning into 20, 15, 20, 30-yard runs, that's going to be an issue, especially in the short passing game as well. So I think this game, it's an opportunity for the LSU defense to prove that they can get off the field. Third downs have been an issue as well. We saw it get a little bit better against Missouri. But get off the field on third down, tackle better. Because I think if you do those two things, I think you match up relatively well against this Auburn team that, like you said, they're not going to be able to take advantage of LSU on the back end the way that Ole Miss and Missouri could. So I think, you tackle well in this game, you keep everything in front of you for the most part, then I think we'll see a better performance from this LSU defense.
And kind of inversely, without getting too specific here, to kind of expand on what you're saying, I think if you're Auburn, let's call a spade here, folks. Auburn is a blue collar, hard nosed, run the football team, and they are an old school run the ball down your throat. And I guess not as old school as some may say, because people didn't used to run on the edge. They forgot that was legal. But in today's modern world, the spread offense, Auburn is a run dominant. We're going to play old school SEC ball against you. I think Auburn's goal there is to play a giant game of keep away, and you kind of saw them do it against Georgia, and it almost worked. I mean, it almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. I get that, but to an extent, if you're Hugh Freeze and company, and Peter, you're more than welcome to chime in. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. People do it all the time, so I don't take that any offense to that, but. I think that if you're Hugh Freeze and company, your goal is kind of to play this big game of keep away like you were playing backyard football when you're little. Of the less time we give Jayden Daniels to operate on the field, which granted the dude only needs like 12 seconds, I know that. I'm not naive to that. But the less time we can give LSU the football, the longer we can stay in this game. Auburn's primary objective, regardless of what LSU's strengths and weaknesses are on the defensive side of the ball, true or false, should be to commit to the run game and try to bump up the averages in terms of what LSU's allowed to opponents.
No, I 100% agree with that. And that was one thing that I kind of expected going into this game. I feel like Auburn is going to try to slow this game down and keep LSU off the field as much as they can. Because, I think, I talked about the LSU defense looking to do that and, against Missouri and how that could be a key. But I think that's going to be a key for Auburn against this LSU offense. Because, like you said, this LSU offense, you keep giving them possessions, they're going to keep scoring.
4 touchdowns.
It almost, with how good this offense has been, it almost doesn't matter who you are in defense. You're going to give up points to this team. They can just move the ball really, really well. So, I think that is going to be a big key for Auburn. And LSU has been susceptible against the run. Talent-wise, the front seven still feels like the strength of this LSU defense, but there's still been issues in missed tackling. There's still been, a little bit of turnover, especially in the linebacker core. We've seen some guys, not play as consistently as, some fans would like. So I think, just to go out there, run the ball, establish the run, and kind of slow the game down. I think that's, going to have to be the key for Auburn against, what LSU's offense can do.
And to just touch on the buzzword, Dylan, I know you're going to. In my opinion, it is indifferent about who's playing quarterback for Auburn to do that. Now, Dylan, I'll let you expand about how Robbie Ashford should be incorporated. I know where this is going.
I will say, the last quarterback to throw for over 300 yards against LSU's defense was
Mr. Robbie Ashford.
Robbie Ashford. And when you play against a team where you're going to need the offensive firepower, it wouldn't hurt to probably play the guy who is the biggest playmaker in the quarterback room more often than not, especially on a defense that has been struggling, like Peter said, tackling. And might not hurt to have the guy the quarterback who actually make people miss, unlike the guy who wants to spin zone into tackles, like we've seen Peyton Thorne do very often this season already. But honestly, if you sit there and just allow Peyton Thorne just to get rampaged like he typically does, even though the front seven is really good, Auburn's offensive line very inconsistent, you need Robbie Ashford to play, and you're going to need to play a lot.
That's been a pretty common take. And Peter, every single show, I don't know if you're familiar with anything to do with the College Loop. If you've seen us on socials, you've seen Dylan do this. Any Robbie Ashford true thing you see is Dylan's work on our socials. Sometimes you just got, it's like a little kid. When they get on a tangent, you just kind of got to let them go. And you see, now he's going to throw up the red zone, Robbie. You just kind of got to let it happen. And then eventually they'll simmer down. They won't forget about it, but you give them a lot. It's like going to the doctor with a little kid. You give them a lollipop and they shut up. But
the thing is, I got so much hate when it first happened. And then we watched Peyton Thorne play for the first time. And then I started getting a lot of backing behind my Robbie Ashford trutherism.
You see, this is another example, Peter, of me letting Dylan think that he started this. And I just let it happen.
I did.
I
have the jersey.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's give the score predictions here. And we always let the guests go first, Peter. So it's all you, my man. Give us your Auburn LSU Tiger Bowl Death Valley night game predictions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that too. I mean, LSU just announced today, I want to say, that the game's going to be sold out. So it's going to be a really good environment, one that I'm looking forward to. But yeah, in terms of the score, I think there's going to be points to be had. Every game LSU plays is going to be, one of the highest scoring games that their opponent's going to have all season, at least in terms of SEC play. But I still think because of just the matchup and how Auburn plays, it's not going to be as high scoring as LSU's last couple of games. But I think LSU is still going to win. I do still think, especially in Baton Rouge, this matchup does favor LSU. But I think Auburn is, going to make it really competitive. It's going to be a really good game. I just think, LSU's offense is going to be a little bit too much. But I've got a 34-27 LSU.
Okay.
I think LSU's averaging 44 points a game. I just don't know if they're going to get enough possessions to, get that many points. And I think Auburn's defense will limit them to a couple of field goals. But I'm really interested to see, can LSU hold a team to 27 points? And I think this might be the game to do it. So yeah, I've got LSU 34, Auburn 27.
Okay, wasn't it like the stat like 5 out of the last 6 Tiger Bowls was decided by just 7 points or less?
Yes.
Yep.
And the outlier being the 2019 Joe Burrow year, right?
That was a 3-point game.
It was
It would have been it was the TJ Finley versus Bo Nix Bowl.
That's right.
That fever dream.
That's right. I forgot that happened. I mentally deleted that from my head.
2021.
I'll tell you what, Peter, that prediction, even though you have LSU winning, that'll sit well with a lot of Auburn folks. A lot of Auburn fans, if you told them that was going to be the outcome and that Auburn at least looked competent doing it, 90% of them would say, I can live with that. I'm actually going to be a little more optimistic. I do think that Auburn stands a fighting chance, but I'm going to flip the score I gave to Dylan earlier and say LSU still wins this ball game. I was negligent in forgetting the part where this is a night game in Death Valley. And I know that the last time that happened, Auburn did walk away with the win. It took Bo Nix magic, which, yes, Auburn fans, that was very much a thing. Don't forget that. I like LSU in this one, but I like it something goofy, like 27-25, like close, like super, super close. I do think Auburn's defense is one of, if not the most competent defense LSU has seen this year, which if you would have told me I was going to say that 3 months ago, Peter, I would have called you crazy. But this defense has been a pleasant surprise, and there's a couple guys coming back off injury on both sides of the ball that could really contribute to this game for Auburn. I would not be surprised if they goofed up and did something wacky and wound up winning this ball game. I think it's winnable. I do think LSU is on a little bit of upset alert in this circumstance just because it's Auburn LSU. I know that people say that the past is the past and it plays no impact, but this rivalry really does. And I think that they make for some of the most entertaining ball games in the world. And I think this is going to be nothing different. I think it could be like Auburn's 25, up 25-20 with a minute and a half to go. And the ball falls in the hands of Jayden Daniels. And you just go up and win the ball game. And just something exciting and cool. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, this game has been a really tough one. Okay. Well, that happened.
Well, functioning as an adult is apparently tough for you right now.
Yeah, so that was a bit to put on the sunglasses. I have convinced myself.
Oh, boy, here we go.
This LSU defense is bad. This Auburn offense is going to find a way to score. This game is going light the match. Get the matches ready. We're going to have a barn burner in Death Valley. This is going to be. I'm going to say Auburn gets the upset, but it's going to be a 42-39 Auburn win in Death Valley. Robbie Ashford scores 3 touchdowns.
If Auburn scores 42 points against an SEC opponent, I will shave into a mustache.
I say get rid of the mullet.
Sunday. Huh?
Get rid of the mullet.
I don't have a mullet. What are you talking about?
Get rid of the locks.
That's just not happening, bro. I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you for the breakdown, Peter. I hope you're enjoying the show as much as we are. It's great having you on, man. Thorough breakdown. Sure. You know ball, certified ball knower. Congratulations, proud of you. We're gonna jump over real quick and just tell everybody if they are feeling loopy, because Dylan's clearly feeling loopy. If he thinks this one's gonna be a barn burner and Auburn's gonna score 40+ points,
I'm just saying the nearest building next to that stadium is gonna find a way to catch fire.
It wouldn't be the first time in this rivalry.
And it would not, and it won't be the last time. Believe me, this game's gonna get weird.
Yeah, if you're feeling loopy, not like Dylan is, because Dylan might be on drugs right now, but if you're feeling loopy, we've got just the t-shirt for you. It's the most comfortable t-shirt you'll ever wear. Dylan, if you'll throw it on the screen for me. Thank you so much, sir. Go pick up your very own Feeling Loopy t-shirt. They're $25 on thewarreport.com. Come in 5 different colorways. And when I tell you the most comfortable shirt I've ever owned, I am not being exaggerative. This is truthfully one of the most high quality t-shirts I've ever owned. The College Loop War Report Podcast Network co-branded Feeling Loopy t-shirt. If you don't feel like typing in www.thewarreport.com in the search bar, that's okay. Neither do I. You can find that link in any of our descriptions wherever you find your podcasts. And make sure when you pick up that t-shirt, take a selfie, throw it on Twitter, use hashtag Feeling Loopy. We'll throw it up on the next stream, the next show, whatever makes your heart content. All right. Ad break over. I feel like I could audition to be an ad reader for one of those pharmaceutical companies. You know what I mean? Please do not subscribe to the College Loop if your doctor does not say it's healthy. Or if you're yeah, right. But yeah, I think I could do that. I think that's what my future is in, Peter. This is what happens when you get a journalism degree and you don't know ball as well as you do, dude. So you're in good shape. But yeah. Anyways, onto a different side tangent. Dylan, we spent a lot of time inside the loop talking Auburn ball. We talked the Tiger Bowl today, which, by the way, if you're watching on the YouTube stream, make sure you drop in the comment sections your score predictions. We're ready for those. We want to see all of your score predictions. If you think that Robbie Ashford's going to come in and take the helm, let us know. If you think Jayden Daniels is going to, I don't know, forget to show up to the stadium, that would probably bode well for Auburn. So drop that in the comments too. And if you want to support Peter, he will plug his information. It's also down below, but he'll plug his information at the end of the show. So make sure you go show some love to the wonderful, talented journalists over at Louisiana State University. Yes, Dylan.
And whoever gets the closest prediction will put it up on the show.
Okay.
Why not?
That's cool. It's just impromptu. This is just live pitching, and I love it. We do it all the time right here on the College Loop. All right, Peter, you ready to get into some outside the loop content? Because we've been inside. It's time to go outside the loop.
Yeah, welcome back to Outside the Loop. We're going to be doing our week. What week is it? 6? Week 6? Week 7?
7.
Week 7 predictions. And after the bye week, me and Tarr are still 2 games. I'm still 2 games behind Harrison Tarr, as he is now 40-20. I am 38-22.
I simply know ball better than you. It's hard for you to swallow. But
I don't think that's true at all. But okay. But still, we have Mr. John Conley as the last place guest. He went 6-4 back-to-back weeks, but we still have a 4-way tie for first place, all at 7-3. So,
all right, Peter. So if you can go 8-2, you're going to be the sole owner of first place in pick'ems for all of our guests.
I'm ready. Bring it on.
Got a lot.
Peter said, "I'm going 10-0, bro. What you talking about?"
All right. Well, starting off, we're gonna kick it to that other town in the state of Alabama as the Arkansas Razorbacks travel to that garbage heap that is Bryant-Denny Stadium to take on the Elephants. Peter, you go ahead and take this one first.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's got to be Alabama. Just 2 teams that I think are moving in opposite directions right now. Bama seems to finally be figuring it out. Got a big win versus A&M this week, so I think Bama wins and probably covers as well.
Bama cover plus 10, not close. Sam Pittman. There's actually going to be a connection between these 2 teams soon too, because Sam Pittman's going to be an awesome offensive analyst for the University of Alabama.
Yeah, Sam Pittman is not going to be the coach much longer at Arkansas. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just pick Alabama here. Now to go to the Sun Belt, got the Georgia Southern Eagles traveling to the best football team in the state of Virginia, the James Madison Dukes. James Madison currently a 6-point favorite, and somehow James Madison is not ranked, which is a heresy among heresy. Peter?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a vibes pick for me, but I like the upset here. I'm going to go Georgia Southern. Clay Helton, coach down there. I'm going to go Georgia Southern with the upset.
I'm going right there with you. Georgia Southern's got a lot of good things going for them right now. They're in the middle of what I think can be a rebuild to actually return to prominence in the Sun Belt. And I actually do think that they may be competing at the end of the year for a Sun Belt championship. JMU is clearly the best team in the conference, but they are not eligible for Sun Belt championship. Georgia Southern's got something to play for. I agree, Dylan. It's bullshit. But Georgia Southern really has something to play for here. And with Coastal Carolina taking down App State last night, doors wide open in the Sun Belt. It is time for Clay Helton and company to go get that statement win this year. And I think they're a hell of a ball club right now, actually.
Yeah, I'm on the wave of where I think Georgia Southern can probably win the Sun Belt this year, and it's going to be a sham because JMU is going to just win this game, probably cover, just because it's a 6-point spread, but I'm going to go JMU here. I think they're the best team in the Sun Belt by far. And it's just so freaking lame that they're not going to be able to play in the Sun Belt Championship.
Yeah, it is.
It's so stupid. What a
Or a
stupid,
bowl game.
stupid rule.
Or a bowl game.
Or bowl game. We just won't be able to watch JMU actually do anything. It's so dumb. All right. And now to go to the Pac-12, we have probably the best game of the year thus far, I believe, ranks-wise. The number 8 Oregon Ducks travel to Pullman? No, Seattle. Not Pullman. Pullman's Wazoo.
Pullman's Wazoo.
All right, yeah, there we go. Yeah, travel to Seattle, Washington, take on the Washington Huskies, the number 7 ranked Washington Huskies. So Bo Nix versus Michael Penix. Washington's a 3-point favorite.
Yeah, this can be a really good game. I think one that I'm looking forward to watching at least a little bit of. But Washington, I love Michael Penix and that receiver core. I love that offense a lot. They've just looked really good to start the season. Oregon is a really good team too. What Bo Nix done over there has been really cool to see. Maybe not for Auburn fans, but
some of them, yes. Some of them are actually not all of them.
But yeah, I'm going to go Washington here. I think that's a statement win for them. I'm going to go Washington.
Yeah, Peter, I know I said ball, but not so fast, my friend. This is going to be, in my opinion, I think one of the games of the year. Like Dylan said, I mean, not just ranking wise, someone's going to have a Heisman moment in this game, and it's going to be one way or the other. I actually think this is going to be Bo Nix. This Oregon team, I know Washington's remained the top ranked team in the Pac-12 for the duration of this year, and they're a hell of a football club. But I think that Oregon may be one of the more slept on teams in college football. And I say that, I know they're ranked, and I know they're a top 10 program, top 15 team all year for the most part. But I don't think people realize that this Oregon defense has been taking care of business, and all that this offense has been doing has been boat racing people. And I don't really understand where we've been lost in the sauce. Michael Penix, hell of a ball player. Hope he's an Atlanta Falcon next year. Really do.
Or Steeler.
Or a Pittsburgh Steeler. Gosh darn it.
Tar, this might be a scouting game for you. You might be watching both your teams' next quarterbacks.
This is really I'm a Steelers and Falcons fan for some context here, Peter. From Atlanta, Pittsburgh fan by trade. Anyways, yeah, this really could be the Harrison Tarr's future quarterbacks bowl, because Kenny Pickett and Desmond Ridder just aren't getting the job done. So boys, go ball out. Everybody stay healthy. Someone have their Heisman moment, and I'll just be thrilled.
Yeah. This game is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Oregon's got the better defense here. I have Bo Nix winning the Heisman. I'm sticking to that. I have Oregon in the playoffs for a reason. I'm rocking with the Ducks here.
Peter, I think we cut you off. My man, go ahead.
I was just going to say right quick, that said, as someone who is, kind of a fan of both the Bengals and the Saints, that's an unfortunate choice of teams.
Oh my gosh. I when I just thought I was getting to like you, man. I mean, come on. You know what? We'll have to we'll pretend it didn't happen. We'll just pretend it didn't happen, and we'll move forward.
Panther fan here. Panther fan here. I want to ignore the season's even happening.
No one's talking to you. You're not being spoken to right now. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I have the most likable team out of the 3.
That's just objectively not true. Okay. Peter, you hate the Panthers too, right?
I mean, I honestly don't have much feeling towards the Panthers. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, I can't stand them. But I can't stand the Aints either, except for Chris Olave. Have him on my fantasy team. Continue.
All right. Well, taking it back to the SEC, we got a battle of the block T's as the Texas A&M Aggies travel to Neyland Stadium, take on the number 19 ranked Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee's a 3-point favorite.
Yeah, I like Tennessee in this game. It's going to be another game. I think it's going to be tough. Really good game, but A&M coming off of what was just a really tough kind of emotional loss at home to Alabama. This is kind of a game where I can see them kind of coming out flat. Tennessee's got this game at home coming off a bye. I just think that favors Tennessee in this game. So I think it's going to be close, but I've got Tennessee.
I think this game's going to be really ugly. I just think there's going to be a lot of mistakes on both sides because both teams kind of feel like they're flailing. I don't know. I mean, let me just flip a coin real quick. No, not really. But I like Tennessee, but A&M very well could go in and win this game by like 7. Like that's entirely on the table. I'm taking Tennessee.
Yeah, I like Tennessee's run game a lot. This seems like a game they could actually get Joe Milton's arm back involved into the game and get Tennessee back on where they're supposed to be at this year. I like Tennessee a lot here, especially with it being in Neyland. And I just don't trust that A&M offense whatsoever.
I just don't trust Jimbo Fisher. Period.
I mean, no one else does, but
including A&M fans.
Exactly. I'm sure if you started GoFundMe and College Station, you'd get that $76 million like within a week. I can almost
Mr.
guarantee
7-5 himself.
All right, now to the Big 12, where we got the Kansas Jayhawks, are a 3-point favorite as they travel to Stillwater to take on the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
I like Kansas in this game. Oklahoma State got kind of starting to bounce back after a rough start, but I like Kansas. I like Kansas.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that right there. Oklahoma State getting boat raced by South Alabama at the beginning of the year is all I needed to see to not pick them at all this year.
Yeah, I love putting Oklahoma State on here just so strictly Tarr has to pick against Oklahoma State at any given time. It's my favorite thing to do.
Because I model my hair after Mike Gundy, yes.
Yeah, and hopefully you don't model your coaching after him because Lance Leipold and the Kansas Jayhawks are about to walk in Stillwater and walk out with a.
You kidding me? I model my offense after him. I don't model my defense after him.
Neither's been all that great this year.
Yeah, this year, but I mean, yeah. Anyways, come back, Mason Rudolph and Chuba Hubbard.
What about Spencer Sanders, man? He's just chilling on the bench.
What a wild move, bro.
Great career move for him. He doesn't get tackled. He doesn't get drafted. He gets a nice degree from Ole Miss. Awesome, bro.
You really went there.
All right, back to the SEC where we got Sunbelt Billy traveling to take on Beamer Ball himself and South Carolina, somehow a 2-point favorite in a game that might end like 4-2 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you want to talk about a game, that might be ugly. This one, I mean, I think this, two teams that I've just haven't been high on, kind of from the start of the season. But I actually do like South Carolina in this game. I just haven't been high on Florida this season, especially offensively. And I do actually like Spencer Rattler a little bit. I think, at home in the month of October, I like South Carolina in this game. I think they win.
I'm just not picking against South Carolina in October.
Exactly.
I'm not doing it. I say that I would have picked South Carolina anyways, but that was a hilarious video that they posted that it's Cocktober. That's great. Spencer, this feels like a good game for Spencer Rattler to just come out and kind of do good Spencer Rattler things, which he's had flashes of kind of all year. I am just underwhelmed by South Carolina, and they kind of stink. I thought they'd be a little bit better this year than they are, but Florida's horrendous, and Sunbelt Billy probably won't have a job after this year. So give me the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I always forget that Florida's like a gross 4-2. Like they're 4-2, but they're
the ugliest 4-2 you've ever seen.
Like they have that good win versus Tennessee, but then they have that loss to Utah where they looked hideous. They beat McNeese, beat Tennessee somehow, beat
and
Charlotte.
They struggled with Charlotte.
Yeah, struggled heavily with Charlotte. Then got whooped by Kentucky, and then just bullied Vanderbilt. But yeah, South Carolina's going to win this game. A 2-point spread, so a little weird for this game.
Yeah.
That is probably the weirdest spread I've.
Is this an 11 a.m. slot?
This is 2:30 on SC Network. On SC Network, don't worry. CBS took the A&M Tennessee game.
How did they beat the 11 a.m. allegations, bro?
I have no idea. Probably because Arkansas is playing Alabama, and that's going to be a blowout, and Georgia's playing Vanderbilt at 11 a.m. Anchor down, but that ain't happening. But now to start a nice little chain of some really fun games to watch on Saturday. You got the USC Trojans traveling to Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a 3-point favorite.
I think this is going to be the game of the week. Another just really interesting matchup looking at where these two teams are coming into this game. Notre Dame coming back home after it's really tough loss to Louisville last week, where they just did not look very good. Especially
they didn't show up.
Yeah, no, exactly. But then you've got a USC team coming in who's undefeated, but defensively looks horrible to start the year. So I think though, with this game in South Bend, I think this is a bounce back spot for Notre Dame. I think they're going to really come to play in this game, and I think Notre Dame's going to win. And I think they're really just going to expose this USC defense. So I think Notre Dame wins. I think Sam Hartman has a really good game.
I agree, and it does. This game is a little bit of an internal conflict for me personally, because I actually enjoy both of these teams being good, which is like I'm in the severe minority, I know, but Caleb Williams is a dog, and USC is going to put up some points. That's just going to happen. And I would be half tempted to pick them if they would not have played the whatever the ball game you want to call that was this past Saturday, triple overtime out in Arizona. But I've got to take Notre Dame, and you said you think Sam Hartman's going to have a great game. I'm going to go as far as saying Sam Hartman has to have a great game. He looked horrible against Louisville. 3 picks in back-to-back years against the Louisville Cardinals. Back-to-back seasons, granted different clubs. Still, he looked horrible. He's got to get back and got to get right. And this team can do it. I still think Notre Dame has the goods. I just think they had a couple of unfortunate losses this year that held them back from being what I think they're still capable of, have the talent to be a college football playoff team. They won't be, but they have the talent.
They also have probably the roughest 4-game stretch out of everybody
Correct
in the country. I mean, they went Ohio State, at Duke, at Louisville, and now they have USC, which out of those 4, USC by far, unarguably, has the absolute worst defense that they have seen probably this year. I think Central Michigan might have a better defense than USC. Like, that defense is bad. I mean, they've given up 40 points in back-to-back games. The Arizona and Colorado gave up 28 to Arizona State, who is probably the worst team in the Pac-12, and just overall just struggled defensively to even like figure out how to make a tackle at times. And I'm going Notre Dame here strictly because I like their defense and I like that matchup against a struggling offense versus a very god-awful defense.
Yeah,
which is kind of the theme of the weekend, actually.
Yeah, kind of the theme of the show.
Yeah.
Well, now to kick it to the ACC, got the 4-1 Miami Hurricanes traveling to Chapel Hill to take on the 5-0 North Carolina Tar Heels. North Carolina is a 3.5-point favorite in a game that's also going to be a very fun watch.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about a team coming off of a rough last week. Miami, I'm really interested to see just how they come out in this game after what was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen at the end of that game last week. But no, I like North Carolina a lot here. They're playing really well. I like Drake May a lot, and I think at home, it's a big game. I think they win and cover. I could see North Carolina really pulling away, and they're not a blowout, but I could see them winning this game by multiple scores.
Yeah, I'm never picking Miami. That's just not going to happen now. 2 things. One, I'd be remiss if I was not given the opportunity to say this. But as the son of a rambling wreck from Georgia Tech and a hell of an engineer, I am not sorry, Miami, at all. And Georgia Tech will continue to claim that one. Bowl game's back on, boys. So let's go. Just ignored the loss to Bowling Green. That's not important. I would have fired Mario Cristobal on the field after not taking a knee. That's just me. He's a fantastic coach. I'm just talking BS, but at the same time, what the hell, dude? Drake May's got the goods. Dude's going super high this year in this year's NFL draft, and UNC is for real until they run into the Yellow Jackets next week.
That's a statement you just said.
Georgia Tech is ridiculously good at beating UNC when they're ranked. It's a absurdly high percentage. It's something like 78% of the time that Georgia Tech wins that game.
Wow. That's actually funny. This game I've been looking at a lot. Tarr loves him some USC. I'm a big Miami guy myself. I do love the U. I think they just had a bit of a blunder versus Georgia Tech. I think that's probably. They've been boat racing everybody all year, outside of that Georgia Tech game.
Tyler Van Dyke sucks, but yeah.
Tyler Van Dyke he's a good quarterback.
Okay.
I just think it was just a coaching blunder on Mario Cristobal's.
Coaching blunder. Cristobal threw 2 interceptions.
He could have knelt the ball and
Georgia Tech
won the game. He could
have won the game. Threw 2 interceptions to Georgia Tech. Continue.
Tyler Van Dyke has more touchdowns this year than Drake May does. Just throwing it out there.
Freaking sick.
But Miami's defense is only allowing 58 rushing yards per game. So I'm going to be rocking with the Miami Hurricanes here and a bounce back win for them. And
I appreciate you giving me the win this week in picks, by the way.
What are you talking about? I also went JMU.
Yeah, I know. I'm going 10-0. You're losing 2 games.
I don't think so, sir. I think you're crazy there.
Who am I kidding? We're both gonna lose to Peter. So,
well, throwing it back to the SEC, we got a nice little interesting East matchup. Got the Missouri Tigers traveling to Lexington, Kentucky, to take on the Kentucky Wildcats as well. Kentucky's a 2.5
Another one that's really intriguing. Two teams coming off losses. Kentucky just getting absolutely destroyed by Georgia last week, and Missouri losing a game that I think it feels like it probably should have won against LSU, a game that they were leading for a lot of, and looked like they had a chance to pull away in the first half. I like Missouri a lot. I like that offense a lot too. I think Luther Burden is not getting talked about nearly enough as he should be. And I think Brady Cook is a good quarterback as well. Cody Schrader in the backfield. They've got just a really good offense. I like Missouri in this game, bouncing back. I think it'll be high scoring. But yeah, I like Missouri.
Mizzou. Brady is cooking.
Also, we rock with Mizzou here for all the reasons Peter said. Kentucky got boat race last week. And I think it's one of those weekly games that happen with Kentucky. I think Kentucky still has a good chance to finish 10-2, with this being their second loss of the season against the Missouri Tigers, who I believe right now Missouri has a very clear path to finish second in the East.
I mean, theoretically, they have a clear path to finish first in the East.
Facts. All you gotta do is beat Georgia.
In theory, yeah.
In theory, and
they just have to win every other game.
Is that game in Athens? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I hate everything. I hate whoever made their stupid schedule. It's not right.
Yeah, okay.
I think for the championship, you should be given the hardest schedule in the country.
Have you come to terms with the fact that Georgia looked like the number one team in the country on Saturday?
I did as soon as they scored that first touchdown.
Yeah.
I had a U moment.
I finally got there.
I had a U moment. I was like, oh, yeah, that was, yeah.
A me moment. I've just been trying to tell you they're way better than people have been trying to gaslight themselves.
I'm just saying, for a guy who claims they hate Georgia a lot, you have those moments where I think that you're rooting for them at times.
No, that's called being.
It's like as soon as they score a touchdown, I'm like, Georgia's good again. That's what I get from you. It's like, oh, game over. Georgia already won by 3.
No. When they score a touchdown, I say game is over because Georgia has been good, unfortunately, for the past 3 years. I don't waste my breath. Peter, don't let him distort your opinion upon me. I openly despise the University of Georgia. It's clear as day to anyone that's ever watched this show. Dylan seems to think that I have this weird affinity for Georgia because I'm so mentally disturbed. I didn't see my favorite football team beat Georgia until I was 9 years old. That's a pretty tough pill to swallow. And now they're so good that I just mentally convinced myself that as soon as they touch the field, they've already won. Because you know what? For the past, 29 games in a row, I've been right. So, yeah, don't let Dylan gaslight you. Continue, Dylan.
Tar is of the Georgia fandom. All right, so last game on the docket. Back to the Pac-12. You got the UCLA Bruins traveling to Corvallis, Oregon, to take on the Oregon State Beavers in a game of the 5-star freshman, Dante Moore, versus DJ Uiagalelei.
Yeah, this game's tough for me. When I saw this one earlier, I kind of been going back and forth on it ever since, and I'm really torn. So I'm going to go Oregon State. They're at home. Don't really have much reasoning other than that, but I'm going to go Oregon State.
Make it 2.
I'm also going to be rocking with Oregon State here. I think the defense is going to be key here. Both teams, really good defense on both sides, but the Oregon State offense has been a little bit more consistent than UCLA's has. So, yeah, I'm going to be rocking with Oregon State there to wrap up my 10-0 week.
We got our pick'ems locked in. Peter, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as we've enjoyed having you on. It's been a pleasure. Let everybody know where they can find you, check out your work, where they can love you, where they can support you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. My Twitter is at Peter_Rauterkus, so at my first name underscore then my last name. You can find all of my work and all of the rest of our team at the Revelle's work at LSURevelle.com. Obviously everything LSU related. If you're an Auburn fan looking to kind of read up on LSU ahead of the game, get some preview just on the LSU side of things ahead of Saturday's game. It's a great place to go. Got a lot of hardworking students there. Putting together some really good content for the upcoming game. So LSURevelle.com. That's LSURevelle.com.
quick little self-spelling test. That was impressive. Right off the dome. Thank you so much for joining us, man. If you guys are so inclined and you guys want to make sure you can support the College Loop, obviously make sure you go support Peter before you come back and do this, or you can go and do what I'm about to say before you go over and follow him on the Bird app and check out his work. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell right here on the YouTube channel. If you're listening on whatever Spotify, I guess Apple Podcasts, whatever platform you find your podcast and whatever makes you happy, give us a 5-star rating, thumbs up, smiley face, whatever the hell it is for that platform. It sounds great to us. We certainly appreciate the feedback. Give us your comments, like we said earlier, score predictions. Give us your feedback. We know you guys will not hold back, and that's our favorite thing about you guys, is that you guys will let us know what you're thinking. We never have to wonder what the Loopers, what they want, what they think. So that is something we're much appreciated by. We are at something just south of 640 subs on the YouTube channel. Get us up to 700, and we won't starve Colin, who was not here today because he's foraging for food. So yeah, that's on you guys. Make sure you feed Colin. And the number one way that you guys can support us, I know I said it once, I've said it a million times. Subscribe. Just subscribe to the YouTube channel. It doesn't cost you a dime. And like the video. Make sure you give us some support. If you want a Feeling Loopy t-shirt, that's in the description. And you can also check it out at thewarreport.com. 5 different colorways. Most comfortable shirt you'll ever own. I'm Harrison Tarr, at by Harrison Tarr on the Bird app. If you want to come hang out with me, give me your takes. I know you will. You guys have in the past. I saw some really, really funny members of the Loop community making some interesting comments on some former Auburn softball player on Twitter earlier today. And I just want to say bonk. And that's all I've got to say about that part. So, Dylan, I'll let you tell everybody where they can find and support the Loop. You're laughing because you know I'm right.
Oh no, I saw it firsthand too. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, Peter was bad. There was some bonkage that needed to be happening.
I'm about to say I don't even know the context, but I can imagine. I've got
Their bonk team 6 needed to come in and
Yeah.
needed to get to work. All right, Dylan, tell everybody where they can find the Loop, support the Loop, and let's get out of here. And yourself, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm Dylan Larck, of course, at You Boy the Tank on Twitter/X. The Reader X is right there at YABOI the Tank. Also have an Instagram at Dylan Larck at DYLANLARCK. And of course, if you want to follow us here on the Loop, you have us literally everywhere: Twitter/X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, the works. And of course, service right here on YouTube. We should like, comment, subscribe, leave your predictions. Again, if you have the closest prediction, we'll put it up on the show and kind of celebrate you for knowing more ball than we do. Unless, of course, I got it perfectly right, and then everyone's going to know. But of course, if you want to listen to the show as well, and you're tired of seeing our faces, completely understand the guitar. Ugh.
You're the absolute worst friend I've ever had. I hope you know that.
Cool. All right. And so if you're tired of seeing Tar's face, you can also catch us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. And of course, everything being said, this has been the College Loop pregame show for Tiger Bowl.